Hi friends, it's Kate. You know me. I always pick the hottest time of day in order to film. I don't know what it is about me, but I love waiting until the sun's out and then I'm just roasting on my mat. So I am slathered in sunscreen and I think we're just gonna kind of move around. I don't have a firm plan for what I want to do, but it will probably be relatively low-key given that it is so hot out. But I'm thinking maybe some standing postures might be kind of nice. Do some hip openers, maybe do some back strengtheners if I can figure out how to work them in, just because my low back has been hurting. So it's a little bit of a selfish desire, but you get to benefit if that's something that you're looking for in your practice today too. So I think maybe just have props handy that you know you like to have, just in case we end up using them. I don't necessarily have any poses in mind that we'll use props, but you never know. So we'll get started with seated meditation. I'm actually feeling like I want to sit up on some blocks today. So we've got crows going in the back, some other birds, you know, typical sounds of summer. But I know I'll appreciate it in wintertime when I get to listen to this and maybe practice along. So we'll take a couple breaths here, get yourself situated, figure out what works for you today, how you want your body set up. And then we'll close our eyes if we're comfortable with that and tune into our breath. So starting to let any sounds in our environment fade away. Good practice with the crows behind me to try not to fixate on them. But as they make their sounds, we just let them enter our consciousness and fade away just as quickly. Notice how your body is oriented. If you need to make any changes, sitting up a little taller, adjusting your props, noticing if you're leaning forwards or back, and finding your way to the middle. Relax your shoulders, tune in to your breath. Settling your body, settling your breath, settling your mind. if you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. If you're laying down, we'll slowly work our way up to seated. Oh, give ourselves a big stretch. And we'll get started. So, I'm going to start by standing. And I think trying to move through some vinyasa. So, be mindful wherever you are. If you're really hot, skip some vinyasas or modify them however you like. For me today, we'll see how it goes. It's hot in the sun, but the breeze is nice and cool. So it's all about listening to each moment and figuring out what works for you. Okay, so I actually just threw my blanket down over my mat because once I stood up, it was burning my feet. So I wanted to make sure that I had some nice cushion, but also something that I can actually stand on. So we're going to step up to the top of our mat, big toes touching, heels slightly apart if that's comfortable for you, or if you need more horizontal space between the feet, feel free to take that as well. Bend the knees, take a moment here to notice how your weight is being distributed into the surface underneath you. Roll the shoulders back and down. Take a breath. And then we'll bring the hands to heart center. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up overhead. Exhale, we come all the way down into our own lap. Bend the knees deeply. Allow yourself to come into a very soft forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Long spine, tailbone reaching back. Exhale, hands down. And if you'd like vinyasa, I'm going to skip and go directly to downward facing dog today. Like I said, I want to try and keep my heat level low. Big breath all the way in. All the way out. Then from here, stepping back up to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding. Taking your time. And then bending the knees, inhaling and coming all the way up. Hands above the heart. And exhale, Samasthiti. Again, big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, come all the way down. Inhale, half lift, long back of the neck. Exhale, hands down, step back, and move through your vinyasa, whatever that happens to be. With poses, without poses, staying with your breath. And at the bottom of the exhale, feet come up in between the hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And then bend the knees, inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. Exhale, Samasthiti. One more of those. Big inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back, move through your vinyasa. So if you're moving through vinyasa, you're exhaling down through chaturanga, inhaling up through upward facing dog, and then exhaling back through downward facing dog. Finding pressure through all the knuckles of the hand, the palm. Bottom of the exhale, stepping the feet back up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding. And then from here, inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. Exhale, Samasthiti. So we'll switch to C series. So big inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Lift the chest, reach towards the sky. And then exhale, come all the way down into your own lap. No half lifts this time. We're going to take the right foot, step it back, release the right knee, top of the right foot, and use your blocks if you have them handy. And do you want to use them? Otherwise, you can keep your arms nice and low. So we really want to focus on bringing both hips forward at the same rate. Opening up through the front of the hip flexor, maybe even feeling the stretch into the quad or into your abdominal wall. And we'll shift the hips back, bring the blocks with you, flex the front foot, and come into a forward fold over the extended left leg. Big breath all the way in, all the way out, and then reflex your front knee, coming back into our low lunge. And then we're going to move the blocks out of the way, tuck under the back toes, lift the back knee, and we're going to step directly back to downward facing dog. So remember, if you know your typical vinyasa, if you want to come through plank, 8-point stick, Ashtanga Pranam, inhale up through cobra, and then exhale back through tabletop and downward facing dog, that is also an option for you. And from here, right foot comes forward this time. Release the left knee, top of the left foot, and we're coming into our low lunge. So noticing where there are similarities and differences. Where are you feeling this pose? Does your front hip feel super tight? Or does your back hip feel super tight? Or is it something else completely that makes you feel like you have to work? Then we'll shift the hips back, flex the front foot, and extend the front leg. So we're coming into a forward fold over the extended front leg. Big breath all the way in. Big breath all the way out. We're going to flex the front foot, put it back, down onto the mat, tuck under the back toes, shift, rock forwards, stepping up in between the hands, soft forward fold. Tuck the chin. You can stay here bending the knees so the chest comes down onto the thighs, and then hold on to opposite elbows to feel gravity putting some traction on your spine. One more big inhale here. Big exhale. And then bend the knees, release the arms. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands above the heart. Small back bend. And then exhale. Samasthiti. Alright, one more of those. Big inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Lift through the chest. And exhale, come forwards into our own lap. Then from here, left foot reaches back. Release the left knee, top of the left foot. And you can either come back up onto your blocks or try your hand and see if you can balance coming up onto your knee with the hands, or maybe even pressing your hands together and lifting up. What's going to give you stability in this pose is pulling the front hip straight back and sinking both hips forward and the tailbone down at the same time. So it might pull you up and out of your low lunge a little bit, but as you feel your front hip reaching back, as you feel the pelvic floor lifting a little bit, lifting the pelvic floor is going to give us some stability. So we'll press the hands together if you would like and try to lift them up above the heart. Low ribs coming in. And then we'll exhale, come down. And you can move through your traditional vinyasa or tuck under the toes and step back for downward facing dog. Traditional vinyasa for C series is plank, 8-point stick, down to cobra, and inhaling through tabletop back to exhale, downward facing dog. And we'll do the other side. So this time left foot comes forward in between the hands, right foot releases, right knee comes all the way down to the mat. We'll inhale and come up. So same thing, if you can maybe elevate your pose a little bit. So maybe you were down on the floor, now you move up to blocks. Maybe we're on blocks. Maybe you come up to hand on knee. See if you can find your balance. And then whenever you're ready, pressing your hands together. Lifting up. Feeling your shoulder blades slide down your back no matter where your arms are. And then we'll release down, tuck under the back toes, lift the back knee, rock your weight forward so you can step up in between the hands, coming into a soft forward fold again, holding onto the elbows. Finding the stretch here. Then from here, bending the knees, inhale, coming all the way up. Hands above the heart, small back bend. And then exhale, Samasthiti. Alright, so we'll transition to some standing poses. We'll transition into triangle. So we'll do heel to heel alignment, and you can step forward and back, that's fine. I'm just going to step back and pivot so I can keep facing you and keep my right foot in front. So with my right foot in front, my left foot, and whatever foot works for you, we're going to find heel to heel alignment. Bring the hands to the hips, and we're going to tilt through the hip girdle. So pretending like we're a little teapot, somebody's giving us a poke right in the front of our front hip socket here. We're slowly tilting the pelvis, keeping the spine one long extended piece, so no collapsing through the spine. And once the hips don't want to tilt any further, you can drop the front hand down, rotate the shoulders open towards the sky, keep the low ribs coming in, and then lift up through the opposite hand. Or leave it alongside the body, whatever is most comfortable for you. Big breaths. I know this is a lot of work. And then we'll inhale and come up. Pivot the feet. Do the other side. So this time, right foot's in front, left foot is behind, or whichever. We're doing one side and then the next. So, front hip reaches straight back behind us. And once it stops moving, that's as far as we go. So I have a lot more space on one side than I do the other today. So now from here, bottom hand drops down. We're going to rotate the shoulders open, but pull the low ribs in. And then we'll inhale and lift through the back hand. Big breaths. I know it's a lot of work to hold this pose, but it feels so good. then from here, we'll windmill the arms down or turn and face the front of your mat and step back for downward facing dog. If you have it in you to do a vinyasa, feel free to do that. Big inhale. Big exhale. So from here in our downward facing dog, we're just going to step the right foot forward and to the outside, bring the left foot forward a little bit, and we're going to come into triangle pose. So I like to have blocks handy. When I say triangle, I meant pyramid. So it's a cousin to triangle. So instead of our hips hanging parallel to the long edge of the mat, we're looking to keep them both parallel to the short edge of the mat here. And then they both reach back at the same rate. So one of them isn't coming forwards or back. They're both coming back at the same rate, hinging here. And we're keeping the toes on the front foot down on the ground. So it's as if you have like a table or the back of a chair that you're leaning over, right? And then if you can bring your hands down to a block or to the back of a chair. If you want a higher prop, that works, or the seat of a chair. We're reaching our heart forward in this pose. So the more length you can get through your spine, the better. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. Then just for fun, we'll investigate a twist. So we're going to bring the same hand as the front leg. So for me, that's my right, to the back of the pelvis. Reach the chest even longer. And then you can turn the shoulders towards your front leg. But keep the front hip reaching back. So there's no shortening through the side of the rib cage here. And release. And then if you want, you can simply step up and step back with the opposite leg. So we have horizontal distance between the 2 feet. Back foot is turned out slightly. The stance is a little bit shorter than our typical triangle pose. So here we are. We have our hips parallel to the short edge of the mat. If they're not, the back foot should come forward and to the outside a little bit. And then hinging right at the hips. And come forward into our forward fold. Catch yourself on your props. Take a couple deep breaths here. Then when you feel ready, if you'd like to investigate a twist, you're going to transition your weight into your right hand so you can pick up the left, same hand as the front foot. Set the hand on the back of your pelvis and the flat sacral plane. And then when you feel ready, you can open the shoulders towards your front leg. Deep breaths. Lengthen through the spine as much as you can. And then we'll release, we'll move our blocks out of the way, and we'll come back into downward facing dog or move through vinyasa. Your choice. Either way, we'll all meet up in the same place. And then from here, we'll bend the knees, come all the way down onto our mat, and we'll come into child's pose for a few breaths. So folding the body up, Relaxing into our pose. If you'd like, you can bring your hands back by the feet, palm face up to release the shoulders. It's my personal favorite variation. One more big breath here. One more breath. Inhale and come up. And we'll come onto our butts and do some seated stretches. So from here, we're going to extend our legs out to the side. Let's do one side first and then the other. So we'll do a modification of Janu Sirsasana. So traditionally it's done with the leg extended right in front of us. So because I want to work towards a wide-legged forward fold, we're going to set it off any amount to the side. So we're looking to maybe get to 45 degrees, but it's not necessary, just somewhere in this general region. And then I like to use blocks also to support this. So if having your leg out to the side and sitting up straight is already giving you a lot of tension here through the inside edge of your extended leg, you can sit up on a block, maybe on the lowest height, or maybe you don't need that much lift. Maybe you need like a folded up blanket. That's fine too. So once you get that situated, now we're going to bring our forearm or our hand down onto either a block or the floor. And we're going to inhale, reach up with the opposite arm and overhead. So we're turning our shoulders towards the sky and coming into a side bend. And we're keeping both hips down on our mat as much as possible. Big breaths all the way in, all the way out. When you breathe deeply, you're going to stretch through the rib cage. Give yourself a little bit more of sensation in the pose. And then we'll inhale and come up. We're going to take the shoulders, turn them so that they are parallel with our extended leg, the sole of our foot, and we'll come into a forward fold over our extended leg. So there's a little bit of a spinal twist here. One more big breath here, all the way in, all the way out. And then we'll inhale and come up, and we'll do the other side. So, extending out through the opposite leg this time. So for me, it's my left, flexing the left foot, tucking the sole of the right foot into the inside edge of the left thigh. And same thing, we're going to come into a side bend first. So either our hand comes down onto the floor or onto a block or our forearm to either. And we're going to inhale, reach up with the opposite arm, and exhale, come over, turning our shoulders open into the sky. Big breaths. All the way in, all the way out. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. And then we're going to turn the shoulders so that they face the same plane as the top of our foot. And then exhale, come forwards into a forward fold. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. And this time we'll extend both legs. So we're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. And use your blocks to support you, or whatever props you have handy. So I like to stack 2 blocks. I feel like I'm going to have to sit up really high today. So we'll see. I like to stack them in variations, different positions, try and find what's the right height for me. And then we'll lean in. So I like to allow my low ribs to get caught and supported on the props. Take some deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. And then we'll inhale and come up. Take the soles of the feet, bring them together. Knees drop out to the side, sit up nice and tall. And then if you have space, exhaling and coming forwards. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Draw the knees together on their own if you can get them there. And then we'll slowly work our way down onto our backs. From here, we'll slowly roll down. And we'll move through some bridge poses. So making sure that the feet are about hip width apart. Toes may or may not be slightly turned in. And from here, we're slowly going to lift the whole pelvis and the back, hinging it up off the floor, and then hinging it back down. So we're not rolling through the spine. We're acting as if it's one solid piece, like you have a board strapped to the back of your body. So from here, inhale, lift the whole back up in one solid piece, hinging at the shoulders. Exhale, see if you can lower it all the way back down, one solid piece. So this is building strength in the back versus flexibility. Inhale, lift in one solid piece. Exhale, relax all the way down. One more inhale and lift. And if you can, we're going to hold this for 5 breaths. After your 5 breaths, you slowly lower down. Draw the knees in, give them a squeeze. Roll from side to side if that's comfortable for you. We'll open the arms. And take both knees over to the left. If you need to, they can land on a prop. Try to keep the stretch a little bit higher in the back and out of the low back. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale, come back to center, and then exhale over to the other side. Ready, we'll inhale, come back to center, draw the knees in, give them a squeeze. And then when you're ready, we'll come into Shavasana, whatever that happens to look like for you. So for me today, I think I'm going to take my blocks and I'm going to put them just behind my knees on the medium height. Give myself some flexion through the hips after we stretched them out. So find a position that's comfortable for you in which you can relax. Take a couple deep breaths, clearing out all of the stagnant air. Softening where you can soften, including the large muscle groups like the thighs, abdominal wall, the upper arms, front of the neck, the jaw, tongue, and the space above and between the eyebrows. Couple more breaths here. And of course, you are always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, and slowly roll off to one side, taking your time. Taking a breath or two here to allow your blood pressure to come back to normal. Feel your breath expanding and contracting and feeling the support of the earth. And whenever you feel ready, we'll slowly work our way up to seated. So thank you very much for practicing with me today. Whew, it is a steamy one. But I hope that you were able to make this practice your own, get yourself feeling better in your body again, and find some sense of peace. So as always, thank you very much for practicing with me today. Take care. Namaste.